So welcome to the first of these weekly Accordance Skills videos. I'm going to produce one of these each week, focusing on a particular skill that we'll be looking at in class and developing in your own practice during that week. But for this first time around, we're going to look at the idea of a workspace. We're going to configure the workspace to reflect the modules which you have available to you in the Green Academic Collection. And we're also going to pay particular attention to the question of tagged text and instant details. So what you're looking at on the screen is a workspace. I have several workspaces predefined. I can get to them over here. Let me just turn on my magic cursor. So here I can see the workspaces. I have others, but these are three that are visible at the moment. A New Testament workspace, an Old Testament workspace, and this one, the IBL, Intro to Biblical Languages workspace. And the workspace has a number of elements in it. It has an area for Bible text, a tab. It has a tab for the dictionary, in this case Erdmann's. Another tab for the Hebrew lexicon, in this case BDB. Another tab for the Greek lexicon, Lau. Further tab for the maps module, and then finally a tab for timeline, because these are all elements that are in the Green Accordance. And within Bible we have separate panes, as in window pane, for English Bible, Hebrew Bible, Septuagint, and Greek New Testament. And at the bottom we have further panes which are to do with the critical apparatus, which we'll talk about later in the course. Now I'm going to close all of these, and we're going to go through the process of setting up a workspace from scratch. Get rid of the dictionaries, the map, the timeline, get rid of the parallel text, and now all we have is simply a very basic workspace that has the NRSV New Testament, and you can see that up here, the NRSV with Strong's reference numbers, key numbers, and nothing else. So I've stripped out the workspace. Now we're going to add those other modules in. So we click on the plus sign, and we want to add a dictionary, so we come down to dictionary. It'll show all the dictionaries that are available to you on your computer. So in your case that'll be Erdmann's. There it is. Click on the plus sign again. We're going to add a tab for Hebrew lexicon. Again, a complete list of what's available. We will go BDB complete. Hit the tab, the plus sign again. Greek lexicons, Lau. Another plus sign. Come down to Atlas. You need to pick a color. I'm going to go light brown, but you can choose whatever colors you want. Isn't that sweet? And I'm actually going to turn off things like I don't want any sites to show up for now. I don't want any highways to show up. I don't want any regions to show up. I just want a plain old boring map. Okay, not quite as boring as it looks, but let me show you one other little trick. We'll come back to this later. So the Lebanese, the white is snow, high altitude. The darker shades of brown are very, very low altitude relative to sea level. I'm going to select an area from the northern tip of Israel down to below the Dead Sea. I'm going to come up to the top right hand corner. I'm going to click 4 times, and straight away I get this rather neat little 3D map, which down here I can manipulate. Not quite so fast, Jenks. Okay. And one of the good things about that, as you can see, is you can then get a three-dimensional view of the Sea of Galilee, the Dead Sea, the Jordan Valley, well below sea level, the mountains within West Bank and Israel, the parallel mountains on the other side of the Great Rift Valley in Jordan, and so on. So we'll come back to that at some other stage. And now we're also going to add one other item. We're going to go timeline, Bing, that's done. And we've already set our preferences to say critical, but we can toggle backwards and forwards up here. So now we have Bible, we have dictionary, we have Hebrew lexicon, we have Greek lexicon, we have atlas, we have timeline. Okay. But we want more than just the NRSV. And the other thing is that all of these tabs, if the text is too small, then we just come to this little a, big A, and we can change the size of the font. Okay? Same thing here, we can change the size of the font. So back into Bible, that's okay, but we want to add parallel text. So let's add the Hebrew text, add parallel. We're going to come down to text. We're going to go Biblia Hebraica Stuttgartensia tagged and add it in. Nothing's there because up here in the search bar we're in John, which is the New Testament. Let's add another parallel, this time for the Septuagint. So text, and we want up here LXX Ralph's tagged. Again, there's nothing showing up. And we're going to add one further text. We're going to add the Nestle Aland Greek New Testament, which is up here. So now we have English, Greek, Old Testament Greek, New Testament Greek. Again, we can make the font a bit bigger to make it easier to read. Okay, so now almost everything is set up. The only other thing to do is to add our critical apparatus panes, and we do that here. We do it here parallel. I'm going to add, if I follow down, so add parallel, I'm going to add, let's say, NRSV updated edition notes, because we don't have text critical apparatus for the English translation. I'm also going to add the I'm going to add the Nestle Aland 28 apparatus. Voila. I'm going to add another parallel for the Ralph's apparatus. And finally, I'm going to add, because I don't have it yet, I'm going to add the apparatus. Sorry, what am I doing? I've lost it here. Oh, I'm in the wrong line. Add parallel up the top. I'm going to add the BHS apparatus. Now that's cool, but it's not lined up properly. So there's a simple trick here. I grab hold of this top bar, goes green, I drag it over till I get the heavy grey line, and I lift my finger. Okay, the same thing here with the LXX. Drag it over, get the big heavy line. Didn't do it properly that time. Let me click out here. Okay, and once I've got the line, so now I've got New Testament apparatus here, LXX apparatus, Hebrew Bible apparatus, and the notes from the New Revised Standard Version. That's all very good, but there's not enough space to read anything. So I just grab just above the heading section. I come back here, I wait for the cursor to change, and I just pull it down like that. And now I can see that the biblical text is higher up, and I've just got enough of the apparatus that I can just keep an eye on what's happening there. Okay. With your search bar up here, that gets activated. You can either click in it and edit it, but the simplest thing is simply to hit Tab. And when you hit Tab, the whole search bar is selected, and as soon as you start typing, it eradicates whatever else was there. So let's put Genesis 1, and now I've got the English Bible of Genesis, got the Hebrew Bible, it's a little bit small, so let's make the text a bit bigger. And I've got the Greek of Genesis, let's make the text a bit bigger. And of course there's no New Testament text for Genesis. I have the critical apparatus for the Septuagint, for the BHS, and I have notes on the NRSV translation. So that's setting up. Now the point about the tag text is very closely related to the question of instant details. Up here is a little on-off button for instant details, which have now appeared down the bottom here. Okay, off and on. So if I'm looking at a word, and let's say we take bara, which was a word we looked at last week in the Accordance seminar, you can see down the bottom of the screen, it's now showing me lots of details about that word. It's showing me the text word as it appears in the text. It's giving me an English transliteration, so I know how to say it. It's telling me that if I looked it up in the dictionary, it would be bara number 1, because there's more than one word spelt with these 3 letters. It's telling me that it's a verb, and it's telling me some other details about the verb. And then it's telling me that it's a 3rd person masculine singular verb, and that it means to create. In fact, it means he created. And then it's telling me that the Hebrew word is H1254 in the strong reference numbers system. Okay, and that's because the NRSV is also tagged with the Strong's numbers, and that's why it's really good to have. So if I wanted to copy that, that will be quite useful, but as soon as I take my cursor down there, everything disappears. There is a solution. So suppose I was wanting to do epoiesin, which is the Greek word for he made. It's in the section down the bottom, but because it's the LXX, we don't get as good a tagging system. So let me bring up the Greek in the New Testament. I'll hit tag. I'll go John chapter 1. Can't find John with a... So start that again, JOHN 1. Okay. Now I just have the NRSV and the Greek New Testament. If I hover over the word logos, you can see I have all sorts of details down the bottom about that word. If I try to go down and get it, it disappears. But if I stay on logos and I right click and I look up instant details, click. I then go to the clipboard up here, copy it, and when I'm typing my essay, I can just paste that information in, and it comes across perfectly. The Greek font is perfect, all the details are there, including the reference number. Okay, hovering over the word, right click, look up. Don't look it up in a dictionary, don't look it up in a commentary, look it up in instant details, and then use the copy clipboard in the corner. It's that simple. So what we've done is we've seen how to create a workspace, how to set up the workspace with the tabs that we want: Bible, dictionary, Hebrew lexicon, Greek lexicon, atlas, timeline. We've seen how to add parallel text within the Bible and how to add commentary or notes or apparatus. We've seen the significance of tagged texts, and we've seen how to copy the instant details, which give us an instant parsing, instant translation as we're going along. There's one step left, which is we need to save our workspace. So that's simply come up to File, File, Save As, and it'll ask you to choose, give it a name. You might want to call it IBL Workspace. That's what I'm going to do. And it's going to tell me there's already one there. That's fine. And one other thing you might want to do then is when you go into your preferences, you want to make sure that you've chosen your workspace as the place that is going to open the next time you open Accordance. Okay, that's enough for this week. Workspaces, creating tabs, choosing the resources to go into those tabs, setting up parallel text in our Bible tab, setting up parallel information in terms of the apparatus, noticing how the tagging system works, appreciating what we get in the instant details box, and learning how to copy that information by doing right click, look up instant details, click on the clipboard, paste it into your essay or your other notes. So let's leave it there for this module, for this particular video, and next week we'll have another video looking at a second set of skills in using Accordance Bible software. See you then.